Maniacs, this is Hulk Hogan, the greatest of all time, and you're listening to The Blaze. So what you gonna do when Hulk Hogan in Blaze of Mania runs wild on you?
I don't appreciate being interrupted by Hulk Hogan. I really don't.
Oh,
I loved it.
There you go. All right, joining us on the line right now is the former TNA knockout Sirelda, who is, and Jamie D, I think I should call you now, is that right?
Yes.
And,
the one and only Jamie D.
The one and only Jamie D. And I got to tell you, it's great to have you on the show. A few years back, you did another show that's on our website called 3 Count Wrestling, and if that did not go well, I take no responsibility. But I had nothing to do with the interview, so I'm not sure how that turned out.
I don't really remember it, but that's all right.
Right. Well, I guess that's not really a glowing.
No.
Exactly. Well, we're glad to have you on our show and on the, I guess, the flagship, if you will. And it's great to have you on. So how you doing? I know that a few months ago, I posted on the newsline that you were having surgery. How are you recovering?
Actually, very, very quickly. I mean, it's been 4 weeks, and, my range of motion's almost 100%. I'm starting my light cardio weights again, and it's usually they say it's about 6 to 8 months to recover from my surgery, but I think I'll be doing it in 3. So I'll be back in the ring in November. So I'm starting to take bookings, so I better be ready to go.
All righty, and you're getting out there, and you're in Canada, correct?
Yes, Windsor, Ontario, right across from Detroit City.
Right, all right, very cool. And you were recently at some of the recent WWE Canadian shows, and one hosted by Trish Stratus. The other.
Yes, that was definitely one show I would not want to miss because she's one of the best female wrestlers out there, and her being in the hometown Toronto, it was just electrifying to be there and see the audience respond, and it was an awesome time. And then SmackDown, I got to see for my first time ever. One of my best friends, Natalya Neidhart, finally got to see her live doing her thing with the Hart Dynasty, and that was just amazing. I think they're going to be huge. So, yeah, they are huge already, but they're going to be even bigger. Now, actually, it was great. It was great to be down there.
Now, one of the things that we were talking about off the air and a little bit on the air was that Trish Stratus is one of your mentors, and Natalya Neidhart has become one as well. And, we'll get into a little bit later on Superstar Billy Graham and John Cena Sr., all kind of taking you under their wing one by one.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Exactly, and you do have some great people leading you, but...
It took me 8 years, but so it pays, the payoff is well worth it, So it's people are starting to notice, so it's a good thing.
Exactly, and when you were at these events for WWE, was there any kind of thinking about, you could be on that stage, on that platform?
Absolutely. I mean, like any wrestler who wants to make it, WWE is a great place to obviously end up, but, I've been watching it since my whole life, and it's just part of the journey. It has to be, but of course. Like when you're around there, I mean, you can't. I was very inspired, and just watching how everything works and goes. It's just awesome. It's the big show, and it's the big leagues, and who wouldn't want to be part of that? That wants to make it in wrestling. So it's a dream come true to be there at that level.
Exactly.
Now I remember. Right now,
where'd this guy come from?
Let me introduce you.
There.
He just came out of the nowhere. How you doing?
Yeah, we probably should mention that we have other people on the line with us.
Okay.
Yeah, James, you didn't introduce us.
You scared me. I thought, who's this crazy guy?
I can't tell you how many girls I've had say that to me.
Oh. Well, this is Patrick Kelly, by the way.
Hello, Patrick.
Yeah. Hello there. And are Nick and Andre still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I think, Nick is still here. I think Andres and Eric have dropped off the line, and we'll be bringing them back on a little bit later on after the interview to run down Raw, because I know they had strong opinions and they had battery issues with their phones, so we'll bring them on at the end. But we got the main hosts here. And Pat, what were we going to say? I kind of interrupted you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I remember reading about you a few years ago, and you first got into wrestling through, I don't want to say it was like a Tough Enough thing, but it was some competition that TNA was holding. What were the details of that competition? Because I don't remember hearing or seeing anything about it.
Well, I'll tell you all about it. I was actually just on my computer one day, and I went on TNA website, and they said they had this gut check challenge. They were looking for a male and female wrestler, and the winner got $4,000 and then 10 weeks training with TNA Wrestling and then a chance to appear on the pay-per-view. So I immediately, I just signed up for it, and it was in Atlanta, Georgia. It was for 3 days. It was basically a boot camp. They had Trinity was actually there at the time. Trinity and Scott D'Amore and AJ Styles and Alex Skipper, they were the people, that were help running it. And basically, there was about 10 girls that showed up and about 100 guys. So by day one, I think there was only me and another girl left, and there was like maybe 70 guys left. But it was just push-ups and sit-ups and sprints and like boot camp for 3 days. It was so brutal, and I ended up winning the women's part, and they gave me $4,000 and then 10 weeks of training with them. And that 10 weeks training was the best thing that ever happened to me because it was 5 days a week. It was 3 hours, and I trained with 8 other guys, so it was just awesome.
Now, who won the male counterpart of that?
The guy who won, his name was John Bolin, and he ended up actually getting a developmental deal with WWE, and then he got released. So he's still actually around wrestling in the Indies right now. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he was the male winner. So he won that.
And Nick was about to ask something, and I kind of interrupted him. What was that, Nick?
Now, your actual 10 weeks of training that took place at Scott D'Amore School, correct?
Yeah, yes, it did. Yep. Scott D'Amore and Tyson Dukes were the trainers, and it was tough. It was brutal, but it was the best thing for me as a wrestler to go through that 10 weeks training because it made me the wrestler I was.
Exactly. And when you came on to the program, I mean, you had some matches. You hang out a lot with AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, and you had a match with Gail Kim.
Yeah.
You were you were really getting a chance to show what you could do there, and some would say that maybe you weren't quite ready yet. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was brought in, and I was so excited, and I guess I was still green at the time. So since that, I was in 2006. Since then, I've been around. I went to Japan 3 times, in Europe, all over Europe. Worked many indies. So I mean, now when I go back, I will definitely I'll be ready for it. But it was thrown at me, and I just it was all new and exciting, and I was I was just in awe to be there. It was just really cool. But it was definitely a stepping stone and a learning experience. But I guess it was all meant to happen that way. You can't go back and change anything. So I definitely will be ready next time though.
Now, obviously, since you've left, TNA has expanded their knockout division to include their own singles title and just recently their own tag titles. What are your opinions of the knockouts division?
I love it. I mean, if I had a choice right now to go to WWE or TNA, it'd definitely be TNA because what the women have are storylines, and they get used to their best abilities. And, you have different sizes and shapes and colors, and that's what's missing in the WWE. I mean, all WWE has is just these tiny, petite, women that look like they did, belong in Playboy or, not that the women don't belong there, but, they're all looking the same and doing the same things where...
Cookie cutter.
Exactly. And TNA is just so different, and it's exciting, and actually you see all these women doing amazing things in the ring, and that's what I want to be part of, to help and inspire and change and make it grow and add to it, So that's where I'd like to, go for now. Where the women's wrestling is very alive and getting recognition that it deserves and respect and, all that stuff. So that's what it's about.
Now, we actually were talking just before we had you on about the TNA pay-per-view, and we were talking about the tag titles, and, we were having an argument, and I won't lie, my side of it was not, I wasn't sure that the tag titles were a necessary element right now, but I do agree that it does show the depth of the genre of the division, that they have enough talent to pull off not only a singles but a tag title.
Tag titles, yeah. I think that's great.
Now that is something that's really great. And when you talk about the WWE women's division, I mean, there's some great athletes there. There's Mickie James. There's Gail Kim was there now. Natalya.
Beth. Yep.
Yep. Beth Phoenix, absolutely. And I actually wanted to ask you a little bit about what we just touched on, the cookie cutter look, because your look is more of you're an athlete. You're not a you're not a Barbie doll.
I'm a big, strong, built athlete who kicks butt.
Exactly. You're not
and is very good looking at the same time.
Exactly. Well, you're not a Barbie doll, but you are an athlete, and unfortunately, ironically, Trish Stratus kind of brought in that whole the models learning to wrestle thing, and unfortunately, none have really kind of captured as much magic in a bottle as she has.
I would say more Trish didn't bring in the models. She actually was the model who kind of became the athlete. So
exactly.
she changed it for the better for those kind of women, but every woman doesn't have what Trish has. Just because you're a beautiful model doesn't mean you can do what Trish did. She had it inside of her, and she had the passion and the love, and she went out there fearlessly and did what she had to do. And she didn't want to be known as a beautiful girl who just was in the ring. She wanted to be known as a kick-ass athlete, and that's what she became. So that's why so many people, and she's #1 today because of what she went through to get to where she was. You know, she just wanted to be more than just that. So
unfortunately, I think that you're right, though. I think that they did kind of see that this one girl came in, and she was from the modeling world, and really learned how to be this worker that she became.
Oh, yeah,
and I mean, most people put her up there with the likes of Sherry Martel and one of the greatest of all time.
Sure.
But unfortunately, that's kind of fueled the WWE going to the well almost entirely to models, and not really going to the independent scene. Natalya Neidhart is a drastic change to that, and you know, would you say that there would be a place for them to fit you in there? Because it's kind of like square peg in a
well, that's the thing. Of course. I mean, I believe that I was born to be a wrestler, and I was born to do great things in the wrestling business, and it's just an opportunity, and it's a chance, and it's let them, you know, see what you have, and I have not been given the opportunity yet, so I have to go make that opportunity happen for me. So, for me to go to TNA and to, you know, get experience and exposure and to show people, like, I have the charisma, I can entertain, I can wrestle, I can connect with the crowd. Why wouldn't people want to use that? You know, just because I don't, you know, I'm not the Barbie doll type of girl. But I mean, thank God for China, because she opened up the door for someone like me. So she proved that you don't have to be that type. You can be that type and still make it big.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And ironic that you mentioned China, because last week's guest was Sean Waltman.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, there was the China that was not screwed up, the China that had her stuff together. I don't know what happened to her after. I'm kind of disappointed, but I loved her, and, you know, she had the whole package. But yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, we can't. We wanted to ask you a little bit more about the TNA Knockouts division, and one of the things that came a couple weeks ago was the being a Canadian woman in TNA. I kind of wanted to ask you about this. Angelina Love had a little trouble with her visa, and you know, my wife came from England, so I know all about how difficult it is to work the visas out and all that. You know, what's your take on all this?
It's not hard for the Canadian to. It's not. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but there's been so many Canadians out of my school that worked for TNA and WWE, so it's not that. I'm not sure. She had her visa with WWE, and they didn't change companies. That's what I heard what happened. So it has nothing to do with, like, you know, a Canadian getting a work visa. If you have a sponsorship through, like, TNA Wrestling or WWE Wrestling, those people can get you your visa. It takes 6 to 8 weeks, I hear, but so I'm not sure what the problem was with Angelina. I mean, she's had her work visa easily through WWE. It's just I'm not sure what happened, you know, lately with her thing. But it had nothing to do with getting it. It's just whatever she had and didn't change over the company name or something like that. So, yeah, I don't think it's too hard. For us, you know, like living in Windsor, we just go over to Detroit and fill paperwork out. You have a sponsor, and it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to get. And like I said, a lot of people through my wrestling school, you know, Tyson Dukes and A1 and Petey Williams, and those guys have all gotten their visas without any hassles. You know, we'd have no police records, so it would be easier.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
I wanted to get your take on that.
A lot of wrestlers, a lot of, you know, TNA and WWE, half the roster, I would say, were Canadian. Like, look, you know, the Hearts, and, you know, you have Jericho, you have, you know, they're all Canadian, so it's not a problem of getting it, you know. It's just
I think it's a matter of filling out the paperwork is all, really.
Yeah, exactly. Just as long as you have a clean record and, you know, you have a sponsorship that's letting them know that you know, you would benefit working for them, because, you know, you can't find it in their country. You know, you have something different to offer, then
exactly.
Yeah, you'll be okay. Yeah.
Right. I mean, like I said, I've gone through all that kind of paperwork with my wife, and that's why I have the opinions I do on immigration. But I will save that for another topic. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah.
One of the guys out here lives in Paradise Valley, right down the road from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very sweet guy. And
do you see him a lot, or
what's that?
Do you get to see him a lot?
Unfortunately, no.
I did hide in his place. He's
what's
hiding
that?
out. He's hiding out all the time.
He is. There was one time Scott Epstein called me, and Scott Epstein is a mutual friend of Jamie D and myself, and very nice guy. And he called me up and said, Billy Graham just called me and he's crying. And I said, why? And he said, apparently the tarmac in Phoenix is melting, and Billy Graham believes he's in hell. That's a little Arizona Billy superstar Graham here. So But apparently he's one of your mentors now, and he's really taken you under his wing. How did you end up even hooking up with him?
Well, I tell you the whole. You want to hear the whole story, or
Sure.
Well, basically, you know the Cauliflower Alley convention in Las Vegas every year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Awesome Kong was headed out there, and she said, you know, you should come, and we can get you on the show, and you never know who you can meet and be seen.
Who was that was heading out there?
Awesome Kong.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah, very good friend of mine. So I said, okay, fine. You know, I went down there with them. ODB, Awesome Kong, and cheerleader Melissa, who's now, well, Raisa Shaid.
Yeah.
And Alisa Fass, I think is her new name. But so I was down there with them, and we ended up having a women's match on the show. We were the main event. It was me and Kong versus ODB and cheerleader Melissa. And then the next night at the banquet dinner, all the legends had, you know, did their speeches, and, you know, Superstar Billy Graham and Sergeant Slaughter and DiBiase and all these men were saying how awesome the women were and how we tore it up and were the best part of the show and the best match they've seen for women, and they really put us over. And then Superstar Billy Graham said the same thing, and I just ODB said, you know, Superstar Billy Graham wants to talk to you, and he's got advice. And basically we had lunch the next day, and we just started talking, and then next thing you know, he's like, oh, I want to be the one who discovered you and put your name on you. And he goes, I see so much potential, you know, you can go to the top. And it was such an honor, because Superstar Billy Graham has, you know, mentored like so many great male wrestlers, and I'm the first female, so that says something about, obviously, that, you know, people see something, and I do have something, and it's something different from any other girl has, and we need to bring it out and show the world. So that's what we're going to do together. So.
And that's something to certainly look forward to, and I know that
it's almost like, you know, my whole life I was such a Hulkamaniac, and what's female?
Oh, James loves you now.
And you know what's female wrestling missing is that next Hulkamaniac, you know, that female maniac. You know, I always say that they're always looking for the next male to make the superstar. Well, what about the next female? You know, like give the woman a chance too. You know, we might have what the men have too, and you know.
Yeah.
Be just as awesome. So, for me, I would love to be like a female Hulkster, a female Superstar Billy Graham type character. Just come out with the energy, connect with the crowd, and you know, as a heel or baby, it doesn't matter. You know, so we're kind of working on my look, and like Billy said, you have the natural charisma, you have the talent in the ring, so we're just going to redefine your look. And you know, he wants to get me really tanned, really lean, the blonde hair, the really, really cool outfits and stuff like that. So that's what we're working on, and that's why I had my knee fixed I was wearing a knee brace, and we got my knee fixed, and so the brace will be taken off, and you know, just add to the look, you know. So it's all about the look now.
Right, exactly. And when the look is done, I know you said that you're thinking, you know, more TNA was where you'd fit in better at the moment, but is that where you're going to be, you know, sending the pictures and the tapes, or are you thinking more WWE? Or?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to go with TNA, just because of like the opportunities they're giving the women, and just I just feel like that's my place right now. So go to TNA, and really, my goal is to make an impact and help and add to the awesome division it already has with women's wrestling there, and just be, you know, just and cement my legacy in the business. You know, it's been 8 years, and it's time for me to take it to the next level and stay there and run wild with it, brother. You know, instead of saying brother, I would say sister, right? Let me tell you something, Kong.
That was good. I mean, the thing you would have to do is see if you can do the body slam thing. You know,
That might actually get.
What's that?
That might actually get over. You know, I think Jay Lethal was doing the Black Machismo thing, so maybe they could just have you come out and do a Hulk Hogan thing, and for the knockouts, that might work.
Well, it wouldn't steal anything. Like, it'd have to be my own way of doing things, but it would be similar to that. You know, I mean, like I said, I was a Hulkamaniac my whole life, and I grew up loving him and just worshiping him. So for me to be able to play that kind of character as a female, that would be so awesome and so much fun, you know, and I think the crowd would like it and be entertained by it. So you just got to do it the right way and not look cheesy, you know, make it cheesy, and people be like, oh, she thinks she's Hulk Hogan, that's so retarded. You know, I don't want it to be that way. Like, it's like the new Hart Dynasty. Look, all the kids are taking over the new Hart Foundation, but they're not, you know, you don't see similarities as much. You know, you don't say, oh, that guy looks like Bret Hart too much. Or,
no,
you know.
the only thing I would say is, believe it or not, I was watching a match a few weeks ago on SmackDown, and I would actually say that of all of them, the one who works most like Bret Hart is
Tyson?
Natalya.
Oh, you think so? Yeah.
She's the one who dumps like him and all that. I was like, wow, she kind of works like a female Brad.
Good. That's great. That's what females need is new characters. Like but Natalya is such an amazing person, and she's. You remember when she first started on SmackDown when she had the red hair, and then she changed over to the pink and blonde, and her outfits. I mean, everything's top notch with them. It's awesome, and that would be great for them to let her really, really do what she's capable of doing, and I believe she will one day. It's just a fight for the woman. It's harder for the woman, and but she'll get there. She'll get to do her thing.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, when I was a toddler, one of my memories is sneaking downstairs, turning on the TV, and I got bitten by the TV because I was flipping through the channels. I was always kind of like a little pain in the ass, and I was flipping through the dial, and I happened to cross what must have been Prime Time or something, or TNT, and it was a Hulk Hogan match. And I was bitten from then on, and I haven't stopped being bitten by it. And everybody, whenever anybody says, "Oh,"
and how old were you?
I don't know, 3.
Yeah, so was I. I swear to God, I was like 3 or 4 when I first saw Hulk Hogan, and I thought, oh my God, like I saw God,
Exactly. I was
in my basement too. I snuck down there. I used to watch, Saturday morning Hulk Hogan and everything, and that's so funny because when you watched him and he did his promo, it was just like. There was nothing else in the room or in the world that mattered but what he was doing on TV, right?
and I can say this in all honesty. I was doing the show at this point. I was doing everything that I'm doing now. And in 2005, it didn't matter to me that I know fully what's going on and all that. When he had the match with Shawn Michaels, I was sitting there like I was when I was just a little kid, thinking to myself, oh my God, he has to win this match. And I mean, that is what a wrestler should be. It makes you care.
Exactly. I mean, there's not a lot right now. Do you find there's a lot of wrestlers right now that make you feel the way Hulk Hogan did? I don't feel that right now. I mean, not really. No. Like The Rock made me feel that way too, and Triple H and those kind of people. But those guys been around forever. But not the new up and coming people. Like it's just I don't know. Nobody. I don't know. Like
you made a good comment though a few minutes ago when you said you don't want to be just ripping off Hulk Hogan. And,
yeah.
A lot of people were saying, "Oh, those Hardy Boys, they're like the new Rockers." I'm like, no, they're like the new Hardy Boys.
Exactly.
That's what I was always adamant about. Let's not just compare them and find somebody from the past to say that's what they are. Let's let them be their own, trailblazers.
Exactly. Like we can have role models. Like for me, it would be like The Rock and Triple H and Superstar Billy Graham and Hulk Hogan, but not to do exactly what they did, but do it what comes from inside of me, right? Let that come out of, you can have like, wow, like the way they wrestled and the way they talked and, but it has to come from inside you if it's to work. If you just copy them and you're not feeling it, it's all about feeling what you're doing and connecting with the crowd. So that's the most important thing, So you can't, like you said, you can't just rip them off and copy them because it won't work. You have to just do it your way, your own style, your own finesse, like kind of like Natalya did with the New Heart Dynasty. I mean, the pink and black is back, but it's different,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's new generation, it's new era, and that's what I want to be for females. Bring this new era of females in, and you don't have to be the most prettiest and the most perfect girl to, that's not fair. I mean. What about all the other girls who have dreams of doing stuff, that they can't do it? They have to limit what they have, can dream about because they're not the most prettiest girls. Like that to me is just wrong. That's, worse than racism, So we need to change that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I said on your Facebook status, and I'm not just kissing up, but I believe truthfully when, I don't know if you saw my update recently, but we posted that you were having Sirelda on, and they're like, oh, the one from TNA. I'm like, yeah, but that's not. In a few years, you're not going to be saying that. You're just be saying,
exactly, yeah.
Her better stuff is ahead of her, not behind her.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Sirelda is kind of more like, it seemed like like people to laugh at or something. The name was horrible, but I just felt like you said, like I wasn't ready back then, but now I'm definitely ready for that spotlight. And
you wouldn't use the name Sirelda again?
No, I was never into that name. I don't know why they gave me that name. It's just horrible, but yeah. I mean, Billy has a few names picked out, and well, he picked the name Isis. I don't know if we're really big on that name, but let's see what happens.
Is that an Egyptian goddess as well?
Yeah. I would rather just be JVD, but So we'll see what happens with the name thing. But I think the name is very important. Like, I never really liked Sirelda, so when they would mention it, it was kind of embarrassing, you know. So I want to come up to a name that I can be proud of, and you know, and not, you know, because the name is very important, you know. That's who you are too, is the name. So you want to be proud and represent it. So we'll have to do some name picking. But if you guys have any ideas, you know, send them all down.
Exactly, and you can find Jen.
Oh, you don't want to encourage me to be creative. That's dangerous.
Please,
Patrick will come out with some kind of like He-Man reference or something.
That's okay. I love He-Man too.
I think you fit in pretty well around here. What do you think, Pat?
He-Man, G.I. Joe, Dinky Cars.
All righty. Well, can you mind if we close out with just a few word associations? Just asking a couple of people that you've come across throughout your career. How about Gail Kim?
A hell of a girl, one talented wrestler. Fire, passion. I know, I'm just supposed to do one word, right?
No, that's fine. You can tell a story if you want. That's fine.
She's awesome. She really is.
How about, we talked about her a lot during the interview, but how about Natalya?
Natalya Neidhart is just a girl who came through and made it her way and is the new era. She is the new era. She's the new thing. Big things for that woman. Yes.
And I hope that they do put some emphasis on her.
They will.
Away from the
you know, they will. It's just going to be a fight. You know, for, like I said, the women always get the back burner, but we have to work hard, and she will. She'll have everything she's always dreamed of having. She just has to fight a little bit harder for it now. But she'll get it. She'll get there.
Absolutely. How about somebody that you had a lot to do with in TNA, and they kind of paired you with very closely? How about AJ Styles?
AJ Styles is one of the most professional athletes I've ever worked with and met, and he's just so talented, and there's nothing that man can't do in that ring.
And that reminds me, I wanted to ask you this question, and this kind of was an internet thing, and maybe you heard about it or didn't hear about it, but the internet fans kind of got on one of the current WWE superstars, a female wrestler, who has borrowed, shall we say, AJ Styles' finishing move, Michelle McCool.
Oh, yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
Well, I would, like, I heard AJ didn't mind, and he was honored that, you know, or he was, like, honored that, he's like, cool, you know, if it's getting over, everyone knows it is my finish. But I don't know. I think she should come up with something different.
I think we all would agree with that, wouldn't you, Pat?
I don't know. I just thought, like, that's AJ's move. Like, you know, that's the Styles clash, and what's she doing that, you know? Yeah. Like, I mean, you never seen a girl do it. But then again, my finish in Japan, and a finish but it's not currently in the business no more. And one of my finishes is definitely going to be, you remember the F5, Brock Lesnar?
Brock Lesnar, yeah.
So I was doing that in Japan, and they really popped for it. So you never seen a girl do that move. And then I was thinking, you know, once I get to TV, to keep that move as one of my finishers. What do you guys think?
I think that's a hell of an idea.
Oh, Lesnar's an MMA, so I don't think he'll mind.
Are you guys going to go on the message boards and rip on me?
No, not me personally.
She's still, Brock Lesnar's no longer around.
Well, that's the gratis, though. That's the gratis period, in my opinion. It's like, you know, nobody else, while Jake Roberts was doing the DDT, nobody else was doing the DDT as a finish. Yeah,
that's old school too, right? If one wrestler's doing a move, it's not respectful to do that wrestler's move, so especially a finish. So
yeah.
But like if AJ's cool, then that's all that should matter, I guess. You know.
And it's kind of like Disco Inferno doing the chart buster when Austin came out with the stunner. Everybody's like, that's kind of crap, you know.
Yeah.
He got it over, though.
Did he?
Somewhat.
Oh, Austin, yeah. Austin
did, yeah.
Yeah. Not Disco.
Not so much, no.
Oh, Disco didn't. No.
Oh, you guys didn't like the disco dance?
That was
John Travolta did it better, right?
Well, what can you do? All right, and Christopher Daniels, unfortunately, he's come up for some trouble lately himself, but I'm sure he's going to get over it. How was he to work with? Well,
yeah, back when I was at TNA, he was another professional, very serious about everything he did in that ring and wanted everything perfection. He was a perfectionist, and he's one hell of a talented athlete. So back then, yeah, he was definitely very professional and just a hard worker, you know, hungry to keep going, you know. So.
All right. And how about we close out with somebody that I think both of us or everybody on the line right now would say would be a really good match, completely against the grain of what has become the new era of diva in wrestling, and it would just be a hell of a match where I think you guys would show that girls could just kick ass as much as the guys can. How about if Awesome Kong?
Oh yeah, I've wrestled with Awesome Kong, and let me tell you, I'd rather team up with her than work against her.
Let me ask you, we called her earlier on the show the female Vader. Would you?
Sure, yeah. I mean, thank God for a woman like Awesome Kong, because women's wrestling, and it's not just about her getting over, it's about her helping the whole women's wrestling, and her heart's in it, her passion is in it, and thank God, because her look is different from a lot of women, and she opened up the doors for other women to come through that aren't the most, Barbie doll or whatever. So, yeah, I love working with her. She's very professional. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to put the most awesome matches together. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to working with Awesome Kong. Another favorite of mine is ODB. I've wrestled with her a lot, and it's always a blast. And looking forward to working with Tara. And, I've worked with most of the girls at TNA already, so I know their styles and I know their moves. And, so I'm looking forward to just getting in the mix and adding to it.
When you worked Japan, what company did you work for over there?
Zero Max One.
Zero Max, okay.
Yeah, they had a women's match on their shows, and then they had their own little women's called Sun. It was their women's promotion. So we did tours with Zero Max, and then we did the women's promotion too. So I went down there on 3 different tours, and it's about 2.5 weeks of nonstop bumping. It's crazy down there, I'll tell you.
That's got to be a different experience from...
Yes, it's totally different. Like, when I always come back to the States to work, I always thought, man, we're spoiled over here. We have it easy. This is an easy night. Over there's no such thing as easy nights.
Exactly. Well,
because over here, you get to entertain and really work with the crowd and play and just have fun. But over there, it's not like that. It's more like, they want to see, moves and spots. And the crowd's not so much into it like over here, but it's definitely a great place to go learn. Yeah.
Well, it helps to get out, I think, from all aspects. Well, I got to tell you, it's really great having you on the program, and if there's ever any time that you want to come back on, we welcome you.
Sure, absolutely.
All righty.
Thank you for having me.
Before I let you go, Pat, is there anything you wanted to close out with?
No, that's pretty much everything. Just thank you so much for your time. This was a lot of fun.
Great. It was great pleasure to talk with you guys tonight.
All right, well, great.
And to all your fans listening, be on the lookout for the one and only Jamie D.
Exactly. And where can we find you online? Yeah,
I'm on Facebook. I'm on MySpace, and I have my own website, jamied.net. It's JAIMED.net. So, yeah, you can go to James's Facebook and then go through his friends and find me.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I don't have that many friends on the Facebook. I just joined the Facebook, and all of a sudden I got caught up in this whole mismatch of just random BS comments that I just post all the time. I don't know if anybody reads them, but it's fun for me to post.
But you know what? One thing I can't get into is that Twitter. I think that's so stupid.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, who cares what you're doing every hour? It's so stupid.
Well, I think that's unfortunately a casualty of the modern generation. Everybody thinks that they're a star. It's like
everybody's over.
And it's fueled by reality TV, because now you don't have to have any kind of skill or sequel talent. You just have to be willing to be filmed, and that makes you a star now.
Yeah. That sounds true.
All righty. Well, it's great talking to you, and we'll see you next time, and we hope everybody will check you out at jamied.net, and we'll post a link up for the Facebook and the MySpace page as well.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Have a good night. Love you guys.
Good night.
Bye-bye. All right, that was the former Sirelda, Jamie D, here on the interactive interview on WrestlingEpicenter.com. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed that interview.
Yeah, that was fun.
Absolutely.
Kind of cool. Kind of a cool chick.
Cool. Yeah, and I mean...
And what kind of a He-Man reference name would I give her?
I don't know.
Skeletora? Skeletora? Considering she looks nothing like Skeletor, and actually, giving her body mass, it wouldn't make any sense at all, but whatever. Is Eric on the line with us?
Eric is on the line with us.
Yeah.
Eric?
Yeah.
Oh, he's here. Good.
All right. It's time to start talking wrestling stuff that happened this week, baby. I gotta get off my deck. Are we ready to roll?
Well, before
I guess so. Who was that was hacking in the background?
That was me hacking.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Like a dying
do we have
dog.
to hear Nick go through TNA stuff again? Oh, God. Nick, can we get off the B team for 4 seconds?
No, that's what I was going to say is that something I kind of think a lot of people would like to actually maybe hear our opinions on is there is a story now breaking today is that apparently Bret Hart is actually open to returning to the WWE in some type of storyline role.
Holy shit!
Whoa!
He finally caved.
Yeah,
I don't like this. And here's the thing, though.
I wonder what the first storyline proposed to him will be.
Ironically enough, apparently in 2006 when they did that DVD, Vince was under the belief that Brett was then available and interested in doing things, and Vince already was proposing to do a street fight match with him on a pay-per-view.
Brett, here's how the conversation, I'm sure, anytime this comes up, would go, Brett, would you be open to working with myself and or Shawn Michaels? Has anyone ever asked you that question before, Brett? This would be, the time to do this would have been when it was at its absolute fever pitch in 2005.
When you had the Shawn Hogan thing going on.
Yeah, and then hey, remember that match when the internet was abuzz of Bret Hart at WrestleMania, and what happened? Oh, nothing. It was just a typical Hogan / Shawn match, and nothing happened. And Bret was not mentioned except for the sharpshooter spot that they did, and that whole feud was built up on Bret Hart, and he didn't show up, and everybody's like, what?
I told you we were going to show. I seem to be the only one that was convinced that Bret was not going to be there.
Here's what happened. I was complaining about it because I'm like, WWE needs to stop living in the past. And James is like, he's like, well, it might not happen, but I'll tell you what. Pictures of Bret and Vince shaking hands. Apparently Bret's in town that day. It could happen, and then it didn't. And then James is like, well, it didn't happen. And that was like his response the next day.
It didn't happen. I remember we screwed with you that night, though. You go like, well, what happened? What happened? And I said, well, here's what happened. Bret Hart came out. And you're like, really? I'm like, no, Michael's.
You did. You were a dick. I remember I was in the Walmart. I was getting stuff for. It was like the beginning of my junior year of college, and you and Chuck were on the line. And then I was like, and you came up with this thing about, Bret Hart came out, KO'd Shawn. I was like, whoa! And then he was like, no, Hogan beat Shawn with the leg drop. And I was like, well, that fucking sucks.
Now, one thing I think that this is kind of becoming a case of already is people's imaginations are getting ahead of themselves, and that I hear people saying, oh, he's going to be the GM SmackDown, he's going to work with the Hearts. I'm like, for all we know, the most he'll do is he'll come out and he'll put over, DH and Tyson in some way and say, I'm proud of you too. If there were any two people I would want carrying on the Hart name, and I know you guys are, just basically putting them over. But I hear people that are absolutely convinced, he's going to be the GM of SmackDown, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. It's like,
you know what? And I know you're saying what you're saying is people's imaginations are getting ahead of themselves, but imagine, like the GM of SmackDown, somehow they weave him into the Montreal CM Punk thing.
I was just thinking about that.
I'm getting chills of Punk and Brett facing off.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good shit right there, man. And that wouldn't be living in the past either. It would be a little bit for the screw job, but
you'd be incorporating it into a completely new thing with that's a combo I'd like to see. Like, not even wrestling, but just maybe Bret Hart could come out and say, you know what, I lived a clean life without preaching to others. Or, you know what, I tried to be a hero, but I didn't decree. Obviously, that's bullshit because he did the thing in '97, but WWE can use its selective memory, and you can basically have Bret be the guy who, it's okay to be a good guy, but you can live the life the way you want. You can make your own choices, blah, 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 to go against Punk. I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah, right. Well, some people were speculating that might be why Teddy's been on probation. But, who knows?
The Undertaker killed him. You'll never see Teddy again.
No, this is actually the perfect segue, because we got to talk about this. We've got to fucking talk about this, because the fact is, I don't watch. I don't watch Raw anymore. I watch Monday Night Football, and I saw pieces of that horrible dreck. I saw the horrible farce of professional wrestling where they basically made a mockery of it with the Cedric the Entertainer fucking Chavo match. That was garbage. And I don't even watch the show anymore, so I don't even want to talk about it, honestly. Cause
we do have to talk about it. We do have to talk about it because there was news that came out of that.
Okay. Well, but I want to talk about SmackDown first, though. I want to bring up problems that SmackDown has, because SmackDown isn't supposed to have these problems. And I think we all know what I'm going to go to, and I'm going to go to the Undertaker segment. I really like. Hello? What's up?
No, I just said buckle up, Teddy.
Oh yeah. Buckle up, Teddy. There was, I was all set to say, this show's starting off pretty well. I mean, they had the Morrison Mike Knox match, and I really like Mike Knox. I think he's a really good worker, and he's improving every week. And you don't like him?
No.
I know Patrick and Nick like him.
He's like a garden gnome.
Okay, I'll argue about Mike Knox later because I enjoy Mike Knox's matches a lot.
He's fine. He's improved drastically over what he was. I remember there was one match he had with Nunzio, and he did like 68 body slams, and the crowd proceeded to chant he can't wrestle.
In any event, I'm talking about right now, and I think he's very good. But bottom line is we got to get to the Undertaker thing. This is Vince wants to make movies, and we know this, and he wants to do this thing. Unfortunately, you want to make movies, Vince, then go the traditional route and make an actual movie. I know you tend to do those, and they go straight to video. But hear me out, because you're in a medium right now in which your characters are aware there's a camera there. They have to be aware. That, yeah. You can't have multiple you can't have a multi-cam shot. You can't do that. You can't have one camera with a steady shot and one with a close-up shot. You cannot do this. It will ruin the suspension of disbelief that anyone would have. And the fact is, I mean, how did the camera get in the limo? You cannot take this seriously and believe that this is a sporting event. If you want to do this angle, I have no problem with it. But you have to do it and present it in a way for the audience to be drawn into the moment. I presented to Patrick and Nick a scenario that would cost less money and be much more effective in suspending the audience's disbelief. Basically, Teddy's leaving the arena, and as opposed to getting in a car where we then get a close-up of Teddy Long being possibly the worst actor of all time and opening his mouth like he's about to take a gigantic corn cock, is up there, and he basically he would be going into the the limo, and Josh Matthews tried to get a word with him, or some interviewer or whoever. He's like, Teddy, and he says, no, I gotta go. He jumps in the limo, and the limo's facing left as opposed to right, so the driver's hand side is on the camera side. Then Josh walks away. However, the window rolls down. You see Undertaker. He laughs, rolls his eyes in the back of his head, and drives off. Now, what you've done here is save money on disco lights and fog. You've also made sure the audience doesn't think you've made a cheaply done horror movie where Teddy Long's face does that thing, and he screams and his voice is distorted, and Taker drives away in a horrible, terribly produced movie scene that ruins any sort of respect I had for SmackDown. I can't understand who would okay that segment. And then, I mean, it was just horrendous. And then following this up with a worse segment. And I know everybody's always trashed the Diva segments with Michelle McCool and the whole, and they're terrible. Don't get me wrong, they're horrible. But generally they're so small and part of the show that I'm like, I don't care. But since it came after this, I was already in like pissed off mode, so I just got annoyed anyway. When Melina is trying to take these down before Maria comes in, and then Maria looks at the picture and says, you know what? I bet Dolph has a perfectly good explanation. Yeah, me too, fucking Maria. You know what he has? A videotape from last week showing the master plot go down as the cameras are on them. Hey, Vince, you're on a television show. We can watch the television show. They do not exist in a world in which these cameras are unknown to them. Take The Office, for instance, a television show on NBC. They are aware the cameras are there, that they're filming a documentary of this office. Okay, all this stuff wouldn't happen on camera in real life, but we can suspend our disbelief because they give the idea that cameras are peering behind corners or cameras are underneath window blinds or something like that. Vince, your characters can see the camera. They know that something happened last week. It is insane that he doesn't realize this, and he treats us that they can't see the camera. He has a perfectly good explanation. Yeah, Maria, maybe if you watched the TV show your fucking boyfriend was on, you'd know what happened.
Yeah, and when you have a live audience that can see all the footage and two commentators that are fully aware of what's going on, it makes absolutely no sense. There are just so many plot holes and inconsistencies that it just ruins the credibility of the storyline and whatever it is they're trying to do.
Does this remind you at all, these segments?
Hogan Warrior?
Well, Hogan Warrior was one. Do anybody remember the horrible Nitro they had where Bischoff was the limo driver for Flair?
Yeah.
And there was the announcers acted like these segments were not airing, Like they just went on commercial for like 35 minutes at a time, and they didn't know why. There was nothing going on.
Yeah.
There was no mention of it, and Flair, Bischoff drove Flair into a field where the NWO proceeded to beat Flair with sticks and rocks and shit, and there was a helicopter hovering around for some reason, and nobody really knows why, and somehow the police were not called, despite the fact they basically mugged him, and Flair got some guy to drive him in like a beat-up old truck to the arena.
These were, this was horrific. I know exactly what I can't believe you brought that back up. I mean,
that was probably the worst episode of Nitro ever.
Yeah, well,
it was up there. Go ahead, Nick.
That was also the one that featured Bret Hart against Will Sasso, which Bret Hart had to use
Shut
the
up,
black.
Dane. Don't remind me of this crap.
Where Bret Hart had to win the match with help from his black lady co-host that nobody knows who the hell she is.
Deborah Wilson. I know who she is.
Oh, that's
right, well, I was going to say the worst one.
Corrected.
The worst one of those was when they introduced Tori Wilson, where basically the storyline was that Tori seduced David Flair into joining the NWO so they could use, Rick's son against him, but yet the camera was David Flair's vantage point. You're like,
yeah.
Okay.
Here's
is David walking around with a camera for weeks at a time? I mean,
it's moronic, and there's format rules. James, let's say you and Cassie, you got a night out. You want to go see, apparently Hamlet's playing in Scottsdale, Arizona, wherever the hell in that desert you are. And you walk down, you're like, this is going to be a great night. We're going to see some theater. And then Hamlet gives his speech, oh, fuck, I'm going to kill the fuck out of Claudius. Boom, cut. And then everything starts moving around. You see the sets moving around, and the actors change their clothes there. Clothes. I don't know why I said clothes. But you know what? You know why that would be weird? Because you can't do that in live theater. You can do that on a movie because the movie is being taped. You see, Vince, there are format rules to what you want to do. In your format, professional wrestling, your characters cannot have eyeballs that double as cameras. They can't do things on camera that later can be hidden to other people because you can go back and watch the tape. They have the same abilities as human beings as we do to see what you presented last week because it's almost a metaphysical realm where they can interact with the audience and in their world. So you need to present it as something that if it's hidden, it's hidden, but you can't fucking show us this stuff and then not have other people be aware of it. And then just the stuff with Undertaker and Teddy Long and the camera stuff was just, it was horrible, and I hated it being on the Friday night show because it's the show that I look forward to, and generally is good. I like the main event. I like the opening segment. I like Morrison Knox. I like Ziggler on the mic. There's a lot of stuff I liked about it.
Ziggler was fantastic on commentary.
Yeah, he's really improved. They're both really improved, and I thought up until he had to say the Mr. Ziggler thing, Morrison did pretty well on the mic, honestly. Yeah. I know Andres would disagree since Andres will hate anything that's not on Raw, but he
hates what you hate. Or he hates what you like, and you hate what he likes.
Yeah, well, you guys remember last week when Andres, who was all excited about Zack Ryder earning a title shot, then the minute Eric said, yeah, I'm on that train too, Andres like, well, no, I'm not, because now they're not letting him talk on the microphone at all, even though he had actually done a promo segment earlier that night.
Yeah, it was, Andres doesn't really make much sense sometimes, although he talks about that he wants, that thinks he does certain things to send us on rant for entertainment, which half the time is
he is the puppet master. That's Salamanca.
Yeah. But yeah. So that was. I just thought that was so horrible. And okay.
Hello.
Hello. Did we lose Eric?
I think we're losing him. Yeah.
Aw. That's too bad.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, good.
There he is.
Can you get down?
I can hear you just fine.
I can hear you now.
Good.
I have AT&T. By the way, if I can de-advertise something, no one ever purchased anything from AT&T. They're the worst fucking company on the planet. Anyway, basically, there's
I'll have to record that for commercial breaks.
Yeah, do it, because I fucking hate
in the store, do this. In between, we'll have Eric saying, nobody ever buy anything from AT&T. They're the worst fucking company on the planet. And next we'll have the GWF commercial. Just put that in between. I don't know. I think it'd be fun.
Here's something I heard from first website.
Hello.
You're kind of skipping, dude. You kind of censored yourself there. We heard shh and it, but they weren't like in the same sentence.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Now.
Okay, you know what? If I cut out, just be ready for me to come back on the line. Okay, here's the problem, and if you guys can't hear me, just let me know. This is a problem with the viewpoint of wrestling fans. I saw some reviews of some of the things with Ziggler and Maria, and how Ziggler was quote unquote acting like a face of
Really? Yeah, we're gonna lose him.
Oh boy.
How was he acting like a face?
Maybe it's because
everybody else.
Maybe because Ziggler's getting set up as well, so maybe people think that he's going to wind up being a victim in this because he's being set up to like he's cheating on his girlfriend. But this is my fear when they started the whole Ziggler Maria storyline, was it was going to eclipse, or they're going to try to push it as being equal to his pursuit of the IC title. And I'm not saying you cannot have a character in multiple storylines, but the more important one should always be the pursuit of the title, what he's actually doing in the ring, not his little personal life story.
I'd agree with that entirely. Yeah. Eric, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Good.
Okay, this should be better. I apologize. Apparently the spot I always stand in no longer gets service. Okay, here's a problem that that's the fucking company. Here's the problem that I've had with some people, certain people on certain wrestling sites, not ours, of course. I saw a thing where someone was complaining about the Maria Ziggler interaction and everything, and basically their complaints were not the fact that the segments were horribly acted and produced, but the fact why is Ziggler acting like a face? Isn't he a heel? And this was a constant complaint. And I just thought this was the constant attitude that holds wrestling fans back to the 70s, and not all of us, mind you, but a lot of attitudes that come off like this. And the fact that apparently everybody has to act one way at all time. Apparently, if there's a face girl, she can't date a heel girl. Because I'll tell you what, guys, I've never seen a hot girl date a jackass. Have you guys ever seen that before? Because I haven't, because faces would
that's been the bane of my existence.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, Patrick, you've been misinformed, because faces wouldn't date heels. And plus, every person who has committed bad actions in the ring are evil in every respect of their life. So apparently, because Dolph Ziggler cheats in the ring, and actually, what really makes him a heel? He's arrogant. Okay, does that mean he's gonna like beat women at all points, or just is unsuitable for a relationship? The fact is, we can never have real people because we've got these idiots online, and there's a certain few, and I'm not going to name names, but that will not accept things simply because, wait, he's not a heel. Ziggler's not a heel. I don't know if I can accept that. We need to move forward into the 21st century with everybody else and realize that maybe we should be looking at people and not, it's a face and it's a heel. Well, I mean, it's basically like a Western with, he's wearing a black hat. He must be the bad guy. I mean, we can't have human characteristics or something? We can't have people who have opposites, dichotomy to them? Is that what we're, because that's what I see reported all day. It just makes my blood boil. Because, I mean, if you see any complex character in a TV show or a film or anything, I mean, there's hardly anyone who is just straight up completely in one direction or does everything perfect. I mean, some people do negative things and get positive results, do positive things, get negative results, all sorts of mix and matching. But wrestling is the only medium that the fans insist, and not all of us, mind you, but a lot of ones in power insist that we have to go by these stern descriptions that we've had for all these years. And if we deviate, then and I don't like that. That's not going to sell a pay-per-view.
I think the example that you used once before, Eric, was back in '96 when Diesel turned heel. He was feuding with Undertaker and he feuded with Bret, but he still stayed friends with Shawn Michaels. So it stayed consistent with what he was before.
Yeah. And eventually he did turn on him, but you know, it's the fact is, and they always do this, like, and people will complain that a heel and a face are friends. Oh, okay. Have you guys ever had a friend that maybe someone else that a bunch of people didn't like, or maybe you weren't liked and your friend was liked? Has anyone ever had that? Because believe it or not, wrestling fans, it actually happens. Everything's not black and white all the time and perfect little things that we can order into categories at all times, you know? I mean, people do things and they have different friends. And, you know, Diesel and Shawn, they were heel and face, but they played it up that they were still friends and partners. Unfortunately, we've got this backwards mentality that it's just so reversed, and I just hate the fact that people in power are preaching these ideas.
Yeah, I mean,
you say in power.
I mean influence.
Okay, in power for
Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer type people.
No, I'm not saying Meltzer. Although Meltzer, I mean, as James pointed out one time, and I can't remember how he said, but he just said he's like, I was like, why don't you like Dave Meltzer? It was like 7 years ago, and James was like, he uses a star system. How outdated is that thing? And by the way, if you look at his star system, and I think I may have said this last week, it's the most moronic thing ever. Oh, good difficulty of moves. Quality of moves utilized. Like, who the hell? Is that how you judge movies? Like, quality of...
You got to break down a movie scene by scene and assign each scene a star rating, Eric. That's how you do it. And with football games, each quarter has to have its own star rating. See, that's how you watch it.
Yeah, it's funny because generally, if you're able to do that to a movie or a wrestling match, the first time, it's probably not that good because you're not engaged enough to be into it. So, shocker, Dave Meltzer, your system makes no fucking sense.
You need to, I mean, you can judge an overall product. Like, if you were going to judge the Giants-Cowboys game, you'd probably put it somewhere like at least a 4 on the entertainment scale because there was drama going into it. What didn't require anybody being an axe murderer. It was the first game in a new stadium. So for the hometown, you kind of thinking, oh, it'd be nice for them to open that stadium with the win for the home team. No, on the other side, you were thinking, I don't like those sons of bitches Cowboys. I want to see them lose.
Did you see that fucking palace? It was like fucking Pleasureland from Pinocchio. It was like, dude, what the fuck?
Well, it's Jerry Jones, and Jerry Jones loves football. But yeah, I mean, how do you guys feel about this? Do you guys feel that we should? I don't really like the segments with Dolph Ziggler, but the problem with them, I think, is the talent involved as far as the performances, and not so much the idea that Ziggler has a face girlfriend. I mean, Nick, any?
Well, I mean, the heel with the. I mean, if we want to go into like straight up bare bones wrestling terms, I mean, the heel with the face girlfriend has been a standard for years. I mean, I remember the first time I saw it was Macho Man and Elizabeth.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's what. I don't see how this is a problem.
However, going against the grain here and saying, going to the dichotomy of this, Macho Man was the typical heel, where, oh, she's got to hold the rope open for me, and I'm not going to hold the door open for her. You know, that was kind of the whole thing with that. So he had to be, he did cheat in the ring, and he also treated his women like crap. And when he became a good guy, all of a sudden he was holding the rope open for her.
Yeah.
Well, that took a long time of character development in all fairness.
Exactly, and I'll buy that because they presented Macho Man, like they presented him as changing, as needing to change, and the arc was satisfying. But I mean, and Nick, I didn't get to hear your thing because last time I wanted to know what you felt Patrick magically became you. But your opinion?
Well, I mean, I think I really don't see a problem with it, other than the fact that a talented guy is being stuck with extra baggage that he doesn't need. I mean, the story.
Oh yeah. No, I know about that. I'm saying as far as the principle that we're talking about here, not so much the actual segments themselves.
Well, I agree with you absolutely, and the fact that it's a storyline, it adds depth. I took drama class in high school. My teacher always said that you don't want 2D characters where, okay, this guy is just an arrogant jock, and he's always just an arrogant jock. There's no reason why he's arrogant. There's no reason why there's no moment where he's not arrogant. Like you said, I mean, 2D characters are boring. Giving, Dolph a character where, hey, maybe he does care about Maria, or hey, maybe he's somewhat attracted to women of the opposite, where people are attracted to him. It's like, hey, this kind of adds to Dolph. It makes him deeper, which that's the big problem with wrestling sometimes, where the characters aren't deep enough, in my opinion.
And if they were actually doing good writing, they could eventually use this to turn Dolph face in the ring at some point if they want to go that route.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably. I definitely think there's a ton, and I mean, obviously, I'm sure you're suggesting years down the road because so much mileage with him as a face. But, I mean, I think this goes back to the basic tenets of, and a lot of people feel this way, and you know what? I agree with a lot of Jim Cornette's basic concepts. However, Jim Cornette, and if you read his blog, will say this, is still of the impression we are tricking people to get their money. That's what the professional wrestling business comes down to for him. He says, he's his character. When I was in wrestling, if you were from Texas, you were a cowboy. Okay, and does anyone not understand why we're looked down upon by everybody else? I mean, it's concepts like that. It's the fact that we're still carnies tricking the marks for their money. Okay, Jim, well, you know what? This isn't 1952 anymore, and unfortunately, we're not, and the fact is he's upset that heels and faces eat together, and when we do all these things, I was like, I'm sorry, does it bother you when you see an actor you see Christian Bale and Heath Ledger talking to each other? Does that mean when you go into the movie you're saying, wait a second, no. Batman and the Joker, I just fucking saw them on TV. They were talking together. Wait a second. I want my fucking money back now. No. You're not going to fool me, Hollywood.
I'll use another example, actually, going into real sports. Right before the Giants-Cowboys playoff game from a couple years ago from our Super Bowl season, which made me happy, I was watching the NFL Network, and they showed Eli Manning and Tony Romo, two people that I cannot imagine having anything in common. But they were sitting there on the field practicing with each other and talking about the other playoff games that happened over the last few weeks.
Right.
Well, so, I think it's more or less the entertainment. I mean, it's the more film aspect. I think is more comparable simply because your film experience isn't ruined if you see these people on TV talking to each other. Your wrestling experience is not going to be ruined if you like when the show's over because you turn it on, you turn it off.
Right.
You go see it not because you're like, oh, I really think they're going to fight. You want the drama to be real. You want the fight to be real. It's not real, but movies aren't real too. But you go to see them because you want the conflict to be as real as it can be. But you don't have to. It will never go back to that. And I don't think it should because in the end, it's a carnival trick. You're tricking people to get their money, and that's not what it should be about at this point, and that's not what it is about. I think that's something that Vince does get, and I will give Vince credit that. He's ahead of them, and he was ahead of them in the 80s when he realized that this shouldn't be about that. This should be entertainment.
That's why.
And you can still get into this, and you can still get into these characters and not believe it 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's
Absolutely.
the first one that ever went on TV. And
I can't hear you when you talk that low.
Well, apparently I talk too loud, so I got to talk lower. Apparently, from what I understand, Vince is the first one who went on TV and said this is a form of entertainment, whereas everybody else, including Bill Watts, including Jim Crockett, everybody else that was around at that time was still presenting it as a legitimate sport. Vern Gagne, and while there needs to still be the guidelines of what is sport there to make people still give a crap about what happens from week to week and the competition of victory and wanting to care who wins and loses the matches, while that needs to still be there, we can't have, as you said, if you're from the South, you got to be a cowboy. However, taking it one step further, if you look at the characters that have come along from Vince McMahon, if you're black, you have to be a pimp.
No. I agree, and I'm not going that. But what I'm saying here is that I agree with you. We need to, and yes, I agree. Vince has some sophomoric ideas. I agree. I think you're absolutely right there. But what I'm saying is he's right in the aspect that yes, it is entertainment, and you're right. The fact that when you're watching the show, it needs to be real. You can't calling it sports entertainment during the show is stupid. A comic book is a book. We all know it. But Spider-Man doesn't come out and say, actually, he occasionally they'll throw that in as a joke. But generally, in a serious comic book, they won't say, turn the next page, blah, 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 and to just take you out of the moment. You can't refer to what it is. When you're talking about on Wall Street and what it is, a publicly traded company, you'll say, this is sports entertainment. But the show is professional wrestling. And
here's an example. Right, and here's an example of how, back in 2000, Triple H, Mick Foley, Rock, and Big Show all appeared on Saturday Night Live right before WrestleMania. I had no problem with that. They were, singing and dancing and laughing and stuff like that. No problem with that. But then they aired clips of it on Raw while they're feuding, and that kind of disrupted the whole thing, I thought.
Yeah, actually, they stayed generally in character. Actually, even Triple H said, good luck, man, to Rock. He's like, but on Sunday I'm going to take you out, whatever. But that wasn't as big of a problem. It's just the way that Michael Colby, the very best sport entertainer. Let's say football was fake. It was sport entertainment. Tony Romo's not the best sport entertainer. He would be, quote unquote. He's not, but I'm saying
he's not the best at anything.
I know. I'm just using it as an example. But he'd be the best quarterback because in the concept of the story that you're telling, and we always say the story that you're telling is that this is a sport league. It is essentially a fictional sport league in which these guys battle each other. It needs to be that on the show. And there's just some outdated ideas on there that push the pay-per-view, push this, push that. No, don't worry about pushing it like you're, Eric Bischoff makes the point in his book. People would get upset when he would not push the next week of his show on Nitro. When they say, how can't you do that? Why are you not going to do that? People need to know it's next week. And then Bischoff said, why do I need to do that? Does Seinfeld do that? Does ER do that? Does anyone do that? No. I just make my show good enough that they feel that they can't miss it. And that's what it comes down to. You don't need to push it if you know they're going to watch it. It came to the point where when a promotion was hot, like WCW was in 96 to 98, and WWE in 98 to 2000, they didn't even announce cards in their shows to become sold out because the fans felt that the company was going to hit you a home run whenever they came by, and they were doing that generally. And they push stuff, and it's just this old adage of, just push it as hard as you can. Well, if you need to push it that hard, I guess you don't really have a product worth buying.
Well, look at the pay-per-views they're doing now. They're trying to, by the time they're done, all their pay-per-views will be named after gimmick matches because they try to push their pay-per-views using gimmicks.
I can't wait till all 3 Hell in a Cell matches in a row. That ought to be great. How do you feel about that, James?
It's not even going to be just 3, is it? It's going to be... Because they got the U.S. title in the Hell in a Cell too, don't they?
No, it's going to be the 3 main events.
Really? Oh, just the main events then.
I'll tell you what, though, if you remove the Hell in a Cell gimmick, it's actually a pretty good card.
Oh, yeah. But unfortunately, you can't remove that, so it's not a good card.
Then again, we were sitting here, 4 years ago, saying that TNA doing an all-cage pay-per-view would be horrible, and while I can't sit here and say that it's the highlight of my year, it's become accepted as an okay pay-per-view concept. WWE,
I still think it's a stupid idea, but
yeah, WWE now doing this, and they're trying to find their next niche. And what I don't get is one that worked for me, even though I never really was a huge fan of the pay-per-view because it never was clearly defined what actually being king meant. Is King of the Ring? Why don't they just bring that back? What?
I agree, and in fact. The irony is they're inventing they're pulling the cart before the horse, and they're saying, it was like, does anyone have any good names for tournament pay-per-view ideas? And I was like, King of the Ring? But I do have one point that I do want to bring up, kind of off topic, but definitely topical as far as what we're talking about. And James actually might definitely have something to say about this. I'll post it on your own site. I haven't seen the source, so I don't know if he actually said it. Hulkamania, Hulk Hogan from his Hulkamania promotion said that he's starting his promotion because Vince wanted to bury Hulkamania in the ground and push a bunch of young guys that nobody wanted to see. They just wanted to see Hogan. And before James chops my head off here, because I know he will, but I just want to point out something to Hulk Hogan. And the fact is, I think Hogan, and I think a lot of wrestlers, confuse fans chanting for them in the arena as being absolute superstars that need to be seen all the time. And don't get me wrong, fans are going to cheer for Hogan, number one, because he's a legend. Number two, you don't get to see him often. And number three, there's that nostalgia factor. But the fact is, and Hogan needs to realize this, if they wanted to see you more than the quote-unquote young guys who essentially got the same ratings, then when he won the title in 2002, ratings wouldn't have either dropped or stayed the same, which is what they did. And just because people chant for you, and they will chant, doesn't mean you build a TV show around Hogan. And the fact is, does Hogan think that the wrestling business is going to revolve around him until the day he dies? I don't understand that he thinks that as a near 60-year-old man, he's going to be headlining shows, and that he actually says Vince wanted to put him in the ground. Vince has always stated he wanted him to be the Babe Ruth and to put him in that that segmentation. And I mean, Hulk, if you were that much of a draw, and this is going to either get James to admit one of two things. Number one, that I'm right, that there are no true draws in wrestling, that storylines are what helps the talent draw, or that Hogan isn't a draw. I think he'll agree with me on the first one. The fact is, if Hogan was such a draw, he wouldn't be getting 2.0s in the ratings when Russo was in charge. He wouldn't be getting the horrible ratings when he was battling Jeff Jarrett and such during that time period. If he was that big of a draw, and he wouldn't be getting those ratings when he came back to WWE. So the fact
well, you don't understand, Eric. Those ratings were Jeff Jarrett's fault.
They were. Everything's Jeff Jarrett's fault. It's the Triple H factor where it's always the other guy. But, I mean, I just can't believe he said that, and I don't know how delusional Hulk is right now.
Let me honestly come in here, and I'm probably going to surprise a lot of people when I say this. I agree with almost everything you just said.
Wow.
I actually do agree. I mean, look, Hogan, in my opinion, is a draw, and the bottom line, though, is that you can have Joe Montana come out of retirement, because you know how, Steve Young was one of those young guys that the 49ers wanted to push Steve Young down for, and all that crap. But I mean, it's the same concept, really, isn't it? Because, quite honestly, Joe Montana was getting too old to perform at the level that he was once able to perform. Steve Young was a young and up-and-coming quarterback, and guess what? Guess who got the
Super Bowl.
Exactly. So that's the concept. Now, with Hogan, you could put Joe Montana in there right now. Put him as the king of the football league, the quarterback of a football team.
King of the football league.
That would be fun, wouldn't it? He's the king of kings.
Don't say it out loud. That might be Vince's next idea.
Yeah.
People have forgotten about the XFL now.
Well, yeah. Well, let's say we created a new team called the Fire, and we have Joe Montana be the quarterback, and everybody's like, oh wow, Joe Montana is going to be the quarterback of the new team called the Fire, and we have Sunday Night Football, and it's the Fire against the Lions. Well, as much as people might want to see Joe Montana one last time, it's the Lions. Who cares? So that's my defense of WCW when Russo came in, is because it's like, yeah, you know what, Hogan didn't really draw the ratings at that point, but to be honest with you, was anything. But what I'm saying is you're right, he's playing the Lions, but I mean, how many times did Hogan play the Lions during his heyday in the WWE? I mean, he was facing the Russians every week that would show up and then go out. He faced Iron Mike Sharp occasionally. I mean, it's what I go to, the fact that attractions can be made with the right writing. But I mean, exactly.
As far as that aspect. But how do you feel about his comments, though? Is what I'm asking about that.
It doesn't make any sense. And I'll get this done, and then we're going to call it a day. It doesn't really make any sense for what he is saying. Because if you look at it the way that it actually happened, is that, Hogan is a 56-year-old man, right?
Yeah.
And as a 56-year-old man, to say, oh, they wanted to push the younger guys, well, the older guys are dead. So, who are they going to push? And quite frankly, too many people of Hogan's generation are dead. At 56 years old, he can't do the things that are expected of the younger athletes. And, truthfully, he never really did anyway, but he didn't have to. But at this stage, to come and say, oh, the younger guys, they want to push the younger guys, and Vince wanted to push the younger guys above me, well, they're supposed to. Because while I won't sit here and say that 30 years old, as some people will.
No. I say it's an old time to start. That's not what I said.
Okay, well, 56 is probably time to start wrapping it up. It's like Sting. Look at Sting right now. Yeah. I've actually just commented to Cassie very recently that even though Sting can still go, and I'll be very sad to see him retire, as it appears he will be doing next month, it's time.
Yeah, it needs to be done.
I don't want him to I don't want him to hang on to the point of a flare. where Flair holds on to the point where...
And it's funny that you mentioned Flair, because Hogan's comments remind me, his comments remind me of something that Flair said, where even though everybody in the crowd was doing this and holding up the four fingers, they didn't want to push us over the NWO. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Flair. You know, I guess nobody told you that the NWO was the hottest act in wrestling at the time.
That was some of those backward thinking. It just shows about Flair and just the fact that just because the crowd cheers you, it's not the be-all, end-all justification, you know. And honestly, and I want to say two things about Hogan's comments. Number one, I think Hogan right now is in a tough point in his life, and I know I've never been a fan of Hulk Hogan, but honestly, he's in a tough point. You know, he had the thing with
I'll
his
let you
son,
continue. Let me just jump in real quick. Had he made these comments in 1993, I think they would have held a lot more water. But in 2009, they don't hold any water.
Sure. I think the fact is Hogan's in a tough point in his life, and honestly, you know, maybe if I was in the situation, I'd say the whole same thing, because the fact is, you know, he had the thing with Linda, you know, doing the thing, and then Hogan, of course, there's things about infidelities. I don't know. But bottom line is he had trouble with his wife, trouble with his kid. I mean, basically his family's in shambles. Vince has made note that he really doesn't want him, as evidenced by when Hogan really wanted to work with Jericho at Mania, and Vince did not want to pony up for him. And the fact is, Hogan feels, I'm sure, neglected by his family, his professional life. I'm sure he's hurt. And I mean, and as big as he is, he's a human being. He's got feelings, and I'm sure he's in a tough situation right now. So, and I'm sure probably this is, a lot of people say it's a payday. You know what? I don't think it's a payday for Hogan. I think Hogan wants to feel wanted. I think he wants to feel that these people want him. And the fact is, it's tough for time. It's tough in anything being pushed out for any person. And I think that's why a lot of this is motivated. And a lot of his comments, and going to my second point, is a lot of his comments don't make sense because the guys that they're pushing are Hogan guys. Cena is, as Hogan says, quote unquote, the best wrestler around right now. We know that's not true, but Cena is a very Hogan-like wrestler in abilities, and Cena and Hogan are friends, and Cena loves Hogan. The other guy on top is Edge. Edge is a massive Hulk Hogan fan. Hogan won the titles with him. It's known that Hogan and Edge went to Kiss concerts. Hogan is a big fan of Edge. These are the young guys they're pushing, Hulk. These are two guys that you have anointed as guys that are good. So if they're pushing guys, it's guys on top that you have said A-OK to.
I don't know why, but when you went on that whole spiel about how Hulk Hogan wants to feel wanted and everything, I just pictured Ludo from Labyrinth. Like, oh, I want friends.
Wait, Ludo.
Friends.
The big guy?
Huh? Yeah.
The big, like, oh man, he was cute but scary. but I mean, when you
friend.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of these guys go through it. God knows Flair's still going through it. When Michaels retired through that back injury, I mean, as if he wasn't a drug addict before the whole thing happened, he went to straight hell, and he threw tantrums all the time. And the fact is they couldn't use him on a consistent basis because Michaels was so unruly, because the fact is no matter what he'll say in interviews, no matter what he said, it ate him alive that Austin was on top during that era, because he did a lot to make Austin there, and he was very hateful about it. Flair has always been bitter when he's been pushed out. Hunter is currently bitter because the fact is deep down he knows he shouldn't be there, but he can do whatever he wants now. A lot of these guys do not want to go out of their spotlight, and it's tough for every single one of them. Well, I mean, you telling me Austin now doesn't need? I mean, the only one who doesn't care is Rock. Honestly, he's the only one that probably does not care because he succeeded outside wrestling. And I mean, Austin, all of them are so mad that they're not out there right now, that they're not the Cenas, that they're not the Edges, that they're not the CM Punks, that they see these guys doing what they used to do, and it's tough. I can imagine. I mean, I can't imagine how tough it is, and I think that's going through Hogan's mind, because this promotion and his comments make no sense on any level.
I agree. And guys, we gotta go. We gotta thank Sirelda for joining us this week.
Yay!
That was really a really good interview, and
it was a fun interview. I enjoyed that.
She's very cool. She's a tough worker. Not your Barbie doll, and unfortunately,
I know why they gave her the name Sirelda, by the way.
Why is that?
Because it starts with Sir, and she looks like a man, sort of.
Is that really what they were doing?
That's what the reports from the internet said. I don't know if it's actually true.
I'm unfamiliar with her. Is she a man or a?
No, she's a woman, but
she's a big girl.
She's a muscular lady.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I just was unfamiliar with the. I've never seen her, so I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh, okay, guys. Well, let's call it a day for tonight. And
call it a day for tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
Who do we got next week?
It's been one of those days. And remember to be good to yourself and to each other.
We didn't have an argument about WWE to end the show. So I think we can all agree that this week's Raw sucks. And I'll give everybody 3 guesses. I'll give you 3 guesses of how horrible next week's is going to be based on the host.
Who is the host?
Oh man, you're going to go nuclear, but it's going to suck. It's Al Sharpton.
All right. Blah 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 blah.
Yep.
He can say a lot of things. He and Cena can have rap-offs.
I know it's going to be. I'm not even watching. I'm going to watch. I don't know the Monday Night Game. I just watch football. I'll be honest. It's so much more enjoyable.
Well,
yeah, you got a big hit this week with the Colts and the Dolphins. Heartbreaker ending, but
great game though. Real great game.
I'll leave it at this. Last thing I want to say. When football first started, and I was watching Sports Center, this was just last week, and they were showing all the football highlights. I'm like, right, yeah, that's awesome. And then they said, okay, let's switch over to baseball. And I thought, baseball, I love you, but you suddenly just became so much less important.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I'm at with wrestling. If they would have shown wrestling clips, I would have thought, I love wrestling, and it would probably always be my life, but right now, I kind of would rather watch some guys in helmets beating each other up and kill the man with the ball. That's
so, Jim, let me ask you though before we go. Obviously, you've danced on this issue, and we've never quite gotten anything out. And since we've got a Giant fan and a Jet fan on the line, we'd both like to know who are your feelings with right now. Which of the undefeated teams are you with?
You're going to hate it, but I'd probably go more with the Giants. But I do love the Jets. I do love the Jets.
You're going to stick with that pick because when nobody scored a touchdown on us yet. Nobody scored a touchdown. Nobody's going to be able to score on us, James. And then later on, when we're deep into the playoffs, you're going to go, oh, man, I wish I'd stuck with Eric and the Jets. And then you and Patrick are going to be like, oh,
I thought it was Benny and the Jets.
I'll be honest, ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted a Jets and Giants Super Bowl, and I'd like for that to happen.
Hey, we almost
you know what? I mean,
a couple of years.
Well, last year we came close until Favre's meltdown. But hopefully.
Well, and Black's going to jail. That screwed us over.
Yeah, that was a big speed bump. So hopefully this year we can have Mr. Manning versus Mr. Sanchez, and we'll rock and roll there.
By the way, anybody who says that they knew that Sanchez was going to make it and be a huge football star is a liar, because nobody knew who the hell he was, but he's damn well impressive. So.
Dude, well, no, a lot of people knew who he was, James. He played at USC. They churn out quarterbacks like a quarterback churning machine.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, let's call it a day, and we'll see you all next week.
All right, later.
All right, take it.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in.
This is Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Oh, Rush.
Featuring the interactive interview.
Interactive interview.
Interactive interview.
Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Oh, yeah.
Formerly The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze.
The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze rock. Yo, maniacs. So what you gonna do when the Blaze of Mania runs wild on you?
On WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling
Epicenter. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And now we shamelessly name drop from our history.
The Wrestling Epicenter would like to apologize for the following.
All right, everybody. Viva la raza. Viva la raza.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, ladies.
Hey, guys. We had a lovely conversation. First lady. Absolutely. Oh, look at me. She's so kooky. Be there.
Where else?
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Wrestling Epicenter. Oh, my God. God! You win! Love being interactive.
Whoa! I just got some listen! I was gonna shoot him. Yeah, I almost pissed my pants. Breaking neck. I got 2 words for you. I've heard a lot about you guys. Excuse my language. You're gonna go to the shop. I see him now. We're into the many.
No nerves.
Oh, it's great. It's gonna be cool. Woo! What it's all about. The purest point of view. The living legend. Champion. Arrogant.
You just make me.
Instead of statement, I'm talking to you.
So lonely without you.
In the land of extreme.
Testify. Nevermore. Interactive. Interview. I'm not just the best. Interactive. Interview with a plastic
You
head.
earn the right.
Nobody. You better keep listening. Thank you very much. Controversy creates cash. Professional wrestling.
Made in the USA, baby.
Memphis wrestling. The guy on fire.
We were sexy.
What a show.
One and only.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling
Epicenter.
Interactive interview. We took care of the business and ballet. We are huge. You're where it's at. You better recognize who's the best.
Make sure to tune in each and every week.
I'll come out of your computer.
Knock down your door and turn it on for you.
Or else I'm going to kick your stinking teeth in. And that's the bottom line.
Have a nice day.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.